Welcome to We're Talking Bears,
where we bring you the latest in the Chicago Bears experience.
I'm Uncle,
nephew,
and I'm Son,
and we're talking Bears.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of We're Talking Bears. This is for Week 5, Bears versus Commanders. We're just going to do a quick little review of the game, and what a game it was. A big statement game for everybody. Big dub that the locker room and Fields and Flus and the whole organization sorely needed on the eve of Dick Butkus' passing. RIP to a king. And we're just gonna talk about that, break it down a little bit. But while you're here, click that like, click that subscribe, comment, talk to us. Tell us if you want us to do this on like a live stream basis, something like that, where we could, interact directly and do it. We're kind of playing around with that. But yeah, we're just gonna get into it, and we're gonna talk some Bears.
All right. Please make sure you like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. So let's get that like and subscribe going. But hey, you know what? Last night was a celebration.
Yep.
The chains are off, but this chain's on, baby.
Gotta be.
Yeah.
Big time.
Boom.
Big W.
Boom. Bear swag forever.
Yeah,
Big
so
time.
we've proved this week that we are not the worst team in the NFL. After last week, we really went for it and tried to prove that we were. What does this team mean to Flus, to Getsy, to Ryan Poles, to the staff and the organization? Because it was a very long road. They had given up 25 plus points every week for 14 straight games. What does this say? Held them under 25 points. I think they were held to 20 at the final score. They finally get the monkey off their back. Where does this leave us?
I'll tell you what it says. It says they don't want to lose their jobs right now. And I'm not gonna lie to you. There's gotta be. They have to keep it up, in my opinion. The buck cannot stop here. But maybe they felt they needed to buy themselves some more time. Nobody wants to go out with the record that they had up till yesterday as a loser. Even if it's just your name on the line, I don't think any of these guys want to have that over their shoulders. So hopefully this is a good sign of things to come. But we still have some work to do. We have to get healthy, in my opinion. But as far as the coaching, I'm happy for them. I'm glad they were able to get this win under their belts after such a long road. But we have a lot of work to do, and it's not over yet. I have to continue to see this consistency with these guys moving forward.
Hey, I'm loving it. First of all, I love the growth. Second of all, you know what? Hey, they did what we asked them to do. It wasn't just us, but we asked them on this channel, and other people were asking them through social media. They got DJ Moore more involved. They schemed towards him. They let Justin Fields rip it deep. Like first couple of passes were bombs. They ran the ball hard. If Khalil's ankle didn't give out on trying to get that bad pass, he'd have had a crazy day, but he left with 10 yards of carry or something like that, or 7 yards of carry. It was nuts.
Yeah.
So as you look across the board, 7.6 yards of carry. As you look across the board, and that run where Herbert got hit 10 yards out and drug 3 or 4 men for another 10 yards.
Beautiful.
That's just the attitude. We had an attitude and an energy we hadn't seen. We're not finished, because I was there in Kansas City, and I know we're not a Super Bowl team yet. But this is a Super Bowl attitude. Their attitude, they refuse to lose. The defense stepped up and got 5 sacks. They refused to lose. Eberflus let loose the dogs on defense. He didn't just say, okay, we're going to rush 4 and sit back in and think. he was coming up with some creative blitzes
Yep.
and blitzes to confuse a young quarterback and sending DBs for a speed blitz. He just coming across doing the things you got to do, attacking the ball, coming up and getting the turnover. Even on the balls where we didn't get the turnover, where the ball fell through like Edwards' hands. Hey, we attacked the ball. You got to attack it and get some opportunities for it. And we didn't sit around and cry when we got a bad call, when they punched Mooney in the face in the end zone before the ball got there and threw him to
Come
the
on, man.
ground. We didn't stand there and cry. We just got up. All right, fine. We'll get a touchdown a different way. We'll get a field goal, what have you. We fought. Just, I'm loving the energy. It didn't give up. You felt like all that sadness Justin had from the Russell Wilson game just turned into determination. And at the end, when they had to have a first down, he threw a perfect ball. That might have been the best ball he threw all year of his life, even because it was just in DJ Moore's range, just out of the cornerback's range, and turns into a touchdown
Yep.
because that cornerback tried to take it away from DJ Moore, which that's a no-no.
He tried to swat it. He was up with one hand. He was just trying to swat it.
He's trying to swat it out the way, but it's just high enough that you can't swat it. But he should have played the tackle because that's 7 points right there.
Yep.
Man, I'm not gonna lie, that pass beautiful. Coming out
It
of
was
his hands,
incredible.
it looked like the defender maybe had an angle to make a play on the ball. But when you saw DJ Moore catch it, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Honestly,
That's a sign
And
of
the
the
DJ
talent.
was
watching it
goodbye.
on TV, right? Watching it on the TV, I'm just trying to figure out how in the world did he catch the ball? I
Right.
got to watch a replay
Right.
because there's hands and all kinds of, and you're
Right.
like, huh? DJ's got
Right.
it.
I
Right.
seen the slow-mo. The corner's like pinky finger brushed the
It
ball
did. Yep, he touched it.
as he went by, and DJ came down with it and was out of there.
Man,
Was out of
man.
there.
And high stepping into the end zone, Walter
Mhm.
Payton style. He did,
And you know,
or
and
Devin
you know
Hester
what's crazy,
style.
man, is we talked about it, and like you said, they did what we asked them to do. DJ Moore is catching everything. You got to give your guys, your star players, a chance to make star player plays, and he did it. He did it, and that was just an example of you got to get the ball to him. I mean, it might not always, like you said, coming out of his hands, watching it live, it looked like the defender had a chance, but that's DJ Moore.
Yeah.
He
Hey,
did it
And
all.
it was,
And let's be honest. Let me say this on We're Talking Bears. We see what you're doing, refs. We see what you're doing.
what you doing?
We see what you're doing. DJ
Yes.
Moore had another touchdown that you guys took away from him, but it's okay.
And just a
players
minute,
like
guys.
this.
One second, guys. Time out.
where he did step out. I did
Guys,
see
1
replay where he
second.
did step out.
Vegas is calling. What? Shave points on the Bears? What? What? All right.
No, for real though, I did see the sideline angle. They could have showed it in the game. It was real suspicious that they didn't show it in the game. But from the sideline angle, you see the ref running up, waving his hands, and DJ's foot was like the out of bounds line was here, and his foot was like just out. It was about halfway in. So
I'll
I
give
don't
you
know,
that.
man.
But
I know what they can do with computers and some imagery. I don't know. And the fact that we didn't see it live makes me think maybe they went back and edited some
that's
things.
funny.
I'll take your word for it.
I'll give you that. But what I can't give you is this is Darnell Mooney's head before the ball enters the end zone.
Yeah, no,
That
yeah,
is
yeah,
pass
100%.
interference.
Yeah.
Plus,
100%.
now in the age of you can't hit people in the head in the NFL, you can't go head hunting.
You could tap them in the head. They ain't gonna call. Look, they should have called it because the reason why they should have called it because the cornerback's head never turned around to look for the ball. He ran at him like this, swatting at his hand, but his head never came around looking for the ball. And he got there early. So that's
He
just
came
PI.
down on his head.
He did, but that's still the biggest issue was that he never was tracking the ball. It was never.
Let me tell you what, I can start in the NFL if I can grab your hands before the ball makes it to you. Trust me, I'll stop everybody. But no, great game by these guys.
Not DJ. You're not gonna stop DJ by grabbing his hands.
I'm not gonna stop DJ. Everybody else though, I'm gonna stop. But you know what? This is a testament to what you said on the attitude. Great attitude by our guys. They didn't let any of those things stop them, derail them. You know, they stuck to the game plan and they made it happen. They made it happen.
Hey, think
Yeah.
about this. DJ Moore, 27 catches this year, 531 yards. I was really
That's almost
hoping for
28.
500 yards after this game, but I didn't know if it was realistic. 5 touchdowns, 17 yards, 19.7 yards per carry.
Yeah.
This guy is on pace to have a plus 15 100-yard season,
Yep.
15 touchdowns,
He's on pace for
Career.
I think
17,
1,800 yards
18.
right
Yeah,
now
it's
at the current
crazy,
pace.
crazy.
Nuts.
And
But this is what you trade for. This is the and think about this. Think about this. The Panthers basically gave us him for free.
They did.
Like we were already getting 2 firsts and 2 seconds in exchange for their first round pick. And then they threw in this guy. It's crazy that they actually did it. Like that blows my mind. Honestly, it absolutely
let,
blows my mind.
let's toss this sentence in there. So let's say the Panthers continue to do what they're doing now. We end up with the first overall again. Everybody wants us to get the quarterback. We don't need a quarterback. We need offensive linemen, pair of them. I love Tevin Jenkins. I was so happy when he came in, but then all of a sudden he's out as fast as he's in. He's a backup. He's a great
I think he's
backup,
on a no. I
but
think
he
he was on
can't
a snap
start because his
count,
body
just
won't let
working
him.
his. I think he was just on a snap count, working his way back in.
Well, I hope so because nonetheless, we know his body has not held up a single season. You still need more on the defensive line. We need to pick the top edge rusher in the draft. If we trade back again this year and get a haul like we did last year, we have made this team changes. And I mean, the first four guys need to be linemen, offensive and defensive.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I'd love to have Marvin Harrison, but we've got to win the trenches. We can't win the Super Bowl without winning the
Okay,
trenches.
okay. Let's have this conversation real
All right,
quick because man, I've been hearing all kind of BS noise talking about Caleb Williams this, Caleb Williams that. I think Justin Fields is putting that to bed. Ain't nobody looking for Caleb Williams when you got a quarterback dropping 4 touchdowns a week. Okay, period. End of story.
let me add
That's,
one other thing to that. Let me add one other
go
thing.
ahead.
In the 100-year history of the NFL, three quarterbacks drafted in the 1-1 have become Hall of Famers. Got names like Baker Mayfield, Demarcus. What was his name?
What?
Not De,
Jamarcus Russell,
Jamarcus Russell. These
hmm
guys were drafted 1-1.
Jared
It's no
Goff.
guarantee.
You're talking about like man, it's a lot of guys. I
It's a
mean,
lot of
it's a
guys.
lot of
And
guys.
you got a guy that's balling the heck out in the NFL with chemistry with the guy you just traded with, that's balling the heck out.
Yeah.
It's stupid talk. Build the line. When they block for him, he
He's great.
throws touchdowns.
Right.
Yep. And more on top of that, I mean, you look at where Matthew Stafford was as a number one overall pick, and Matthew Stafford was another guy that went first overall in think 2008 or 2009, something like that. He stepped into a situation where he had Megatron right away,
At Megatron.
and he played well right away. Okay, I would love to get that first overall pick and trade down one spot. Just one. So somebody else can take Caleb Williams. They can pay us a king's ransom to move from 2 to 1, so that nobody else moves from 3 to 1 or whatever. Same way we did with Philadelphia to get Darnell Wright. Same thing. Just
Yep.
just pay us the insurance to get him, and then at 2 we take Marvin Harrison, and you give us a first round pick next year or something like that. But I don't care about what that is. I just care that about getting that weapon because he is, and I am not exaggerating, the best college player I have watched play football, man, since Adrian Peterson, maybe. At a whether that's a skill position, whether that's a lineman,
I need
like
to pause.
the best, no question asked. And he comes from a Hall of Fame pedigree that is down the road. So you're talking a guy who can look to his Hall of Fame father and say, hey, these DBs are pressing me like this. What do I do? That's not something every prospect can offer you. You know what I mean? That's not something that every prospect comes with innately. And he's 6'4", runs a 4.3. Like, you don't pass on
I'm
that.
with you. I'm with you.
Forget
I want to.
forget a lineman, pick him, forget everybody else, and then worry about the rest later. You get a lineman in the second round, and the difference between Marvin Harrison Jr. and a receiver you get from the second round is leagues different from what you'll get from a offensive lineman in the first couple of picks. We got Darnell Wright as a top O lineman to really be creative with and do all the crazy stuff. I'm okay with that. We got another second round pick or another first round pick we should use on a D lineman, a pass rusher, because the pass rush was working yesterday, but everybody's not the Commanders. So
Right.
we can't sit here and rely on that. But our
I
offense
agree
put
with
them in
you.
a tough position. They needed to score a lot of points, and they had a young quarterback, so they dropped him back a lot, and he went down a lot. And that's what generates sacks, honestly.
Hey, I agree. I want Marvin Harrison in the draft. We end up with a pick like that again. My mindset is 100% what you just said. Totally.
Yep.
And I want
We
to build
just
the,
choose not
the
to.
D. We need the pass rush. We need the D line. We need to still bulk up the O line. It's other spots, but yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. to give him to Fields alongside DJ Moore and the weapons we have right now. Give me that. Give me
Yeah,
that.
all day. And I think our offensive line is underrated. We got Nate
Yeah.
Davis back. Nate Davis has looked as advertised. He looked worth every penny polls paid him for the last two games. The first couple games, he was dealing with personal issues, whatever. They gave him the time and space as a coaching staff to be away from the team and deal with that and improve his mental and emotional health and readiness. And he's come back and he looks like he's rewarding that faith, which is good. You love to see that. Then on top of that, Darnell Wright looks like an absolute. Darnell Wright looks like he's a top 5 tackle in the NFL already. Honestly, he already does. Like, he's got some issues to clean up.
He got burned a couple times. I mean,
Yes,
burned back.
yes, but you're talking about literally one of the top 3 defensive lines in the NFL. There's the Chargers with Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. There's the 49ers with Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead and all those guys. There's the Eagles with Hassan Reddick and Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and all the guys they have there. And there's the Commanders with Jonathan Allen, a multiple Pro Bowler, Deron Payne, a multiple Pro Bowler, Chase Young, a top 3 overall pick, and Montez Sweat, who's one of the biggest athletic freaks in the game that posts up 10 sacks yearly. So that's a top 5 defensive line.
Right.
And Fields had all day to throw.
Fields had
All
time to
day.
throw. That was the best offensive line performance we've seen.
And half of our offensive line is injured. Tevin
Right.
Jenkins is on a
Well,
limited
guess
snap
what?
count. Lucas Patrick went out in the middle of the game, and he's the backup center. Whitehair
I've said
throws
how
the
many
ball into the
times that
rafters more than he throws it to
Cody
the quarterback.
Whitehair's better at center and puts somebody else at guard. How many times have I said that?
Yes, you've said that a lot.
I
Now,
got
let me
because
explain to
Lucas
you.
Cody
Patrick was
Whitehair's
starting the
not a
game,
good guard, and Lucas
but
Patrick is not a good center
we're back to the
when it comes to
snapping
block.
issues. You saw Justin Fields save play. Like, there was a third down where Whitehair threw it into the rafters. Fields grabbed it and ran for a first down before the defense knew what the heck happened.
How about when the time he
And trust the
grabbed
guy to
it
do
and
it.
got it into I think it was Herbert's gut. It
Yeah.
was either
And
Herbert
another
or
time when
Rashawn.
he snatched
He
it and
grabbed
got
it,
the run off.
and nobody expected the
Yeah.
running back to come out of the backfield on that. He was gone. It was like,
Point here on that play, Caleb Williams, 2 inches shorter than Justin Fields, probably mishandles that. That's a huge fumble. That's rolling backwards.
I mean,
So
let's
just to put
point
that out there.
here. Caleb Williams is an unknown quantity. He could be Matt Leinart.
Right, exactly. Oh my God, coming out of USC too. Ooh,
He
yeah.
could be Matt Leinart.
Apt comparison. Apt comparison.
So and Leinart looked like a beast. Even had a good rookie year.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was his career. You
Yep.
know, you can't. Let's cut the foolishness. You got a guy. Look, last year Justin Fields set. Last year Justin Fields set running records. This year he's beginning to set passing records. He's got the 16 of 16 in the Broncos game was a club
Mhm.
record for most completions to start a game.
Mhm.
Um,
And most
then
consecutive completions.
most consecutive. Thank you. He did something else last night that's like a second place club record.
He's the second Bears quarterback to throw 4 touchdowns in back-to-back games.
There we go. So he's starting to set passing records. He set
And
running
and
records
and I
last
want to
year.
say and I want to say he had the most passing yards in a quarter in the first quarter last year
Yeah.
in
So
on
he's
the Bears
starting to
franchise,
set
Bears franchise history.
he's starting to set passing records. We
And this
get
is week
Mooney
5. This is
involved.
week 5. He hadn't even gotten ramped up this time last year. Week 5, it was like the Vikings game, and we saw him break that big runoff, but then they got called back for that block in the back, and like that was like the big highlight of and the Mooney
Hey,
catch. Those were like the
th-
big highlights of that game.
look, right now, Justin Fields stands this year 61.8 completion percentage, 1,143 yards, well on pace to get to his goal. Uh, he's thrown 11 TDs and 5 picks. So he's passing that 2-to-1 ratio, and I don't think he's going back towards the other way. So relax, people.
Yeah, I mean that's my
Relax.
quarterback, man. I was so sick of the hate. I was so sick of the disbelief when people, when he came out early, he was struggling in some ways, but you could see even with the struggles that there was improvement. Even in the bad game he had against Green Bay, I think his average last year was like what 150 yards or something like that a game. He threw 216 yards and has 65% completions in the bad game against Green Bay. Then against the Buccaneers, really didn't have a great game, but again, a 200 plus yard game, plus 60% completions, was making a difference on those late drives and was driving us back until play calling really held him back at the very end of the game. Now, in an NFL game, you can only ask for it to be close until the end, and then you can ask your players to go out there and close it out. And that's what we were doing. We were on pace to do that. So I don't really hold the Bucks game against him. That was more of a coaching thing. He was still tuning up, warming up, and getting used to his receivers. But people always think, oh, Justin Fields can't read these defenses. He can't play against zone. Justin Fields can't throw with anticipation. All of that stuff is based on trust. You have to trust your receivers are going to be where they're supposed to be. You have to trust that your offensive coordinator has called a play that can beat the zone that you're going up against. You have to trust that what you're seeing and the reads that you're making are the actual reads that are going to, affect that coverage. So, like for example, on the touchdown to DJ Moore in the corner of the end zone early on in the game, he's holding the safety on the seam route to Mooney. Hold the safety, hold the safety, hold the safety. He has to know that if the coach tells him, he has to trust. If the coach tells him, if you're watching Mooney and this safety turns his back to DJ, you turn and rip it, that the coach knows what he's talking about. Because if that corner is faking a cover 2 and running that seam with DJ, that's a pick. So he has to trust all of those things. And then he has to trust his receiver to run the right route, be at the right spot, and catch the ball. He has to trust that Mooney is getting enough inside leverage on that route and bending that stem inside to pull the safety a little bit away so he doesn't have time to get back. All of that stuff has to work together. And it wasn't early. It wasn't in sync. It wasn't all
No,
there. But it
it was
got
far
better
from
every week.
instinct. It was
It got
it was
better every week.
it was far from in sync, and really, it was a hot mess. It was a hot mess. It was a hot mess. And let's just be honest. Let's be honest. This game was DJ Moore. This
Oh, yeah.
game was DJ Moore. I mean, honestly, in the past, as the Bears, we've had this game from everybody else. We've had great running from the running. We've had the offensive line actually play well for once. I'm not saying that that's who they are anymore, but we remember those days. And then Mooney just didn't have a great day. And literally outside of DJ Moore, from a receiving standpoint, outside of DJ Moore, we had a whopping 52 yards on 7 catches.
No,
Um,
no, no. Komet had 50 yards by himself, didn't he?
Noah Komet had 42 on 5 catches, and
Did he?
Robert
Oh,
Tunyon
okay.
had two for 10 yards.
Yep.
So
Yep.
literally, DJ Moore
Was the whole offense.
was he was the ball game. But think about this: if DJ Moore wasn't DJ Moore, wasn't the Michael Jordan of the football field that day, the Steph Curry of the 3-point line, that Commanders defense would have squashed us.
Yeah.
It would have
Yeah.
squashed us. We would have been coming out there lucky to have 7 or 10 because, they're just, the run game did great. Hey, I give all the respect, man. And with Khalil Herbert carrying people for 10 yards after being tackled, with Roshan Johnson just killing somebody and killing himself at the same time. All of that stuff going on. I give them all the credit. Or Kari Blasingame switching from fullback to running back to finish the game out because nobody else is there and getting the job done.
Yeah.
You
Big
know,
respect to Kari Blasingame.
man,
We love him
we've
here
been
on We're
on the
Talking
Kari
Bears.
Blasingame bandwagon here.
We love him.
We're
We
talking
love
Bears
him.
forever.
That's all. Salute.
Man,
Killer.
man,
Absolute killer.
But you can't just run the football. And now that we have DJ Moore, now that the league has seen what DJ Moore unleashed can do, that we have to get Mooney to step up. I hear your voice about Harrison. You get a Harrison in there, and man,
and then that
there you
trio
go.
becomes just unstoppable. Because look what this does. Look what this does to defenses. Justin Fields has now thrown for 600 plus yards, 8 touchdowns, 1 pick in 2 games. Okay, he has figured out these zones. That was the big issue with him before, is he didn't want to throw into those tight windows. And part of it, like I said, is trust. He didn't have guys that he knew where they were going to be in that window. He knew that if it was a tight throw, they were coming down with it. So he wasn't pulling the trigger. Now he has that confidence in him because he's
when you
got
talk
that
about trust, don't forget trust that his offensive line is not going to let him get killed.
and giving him the time for the receiver to get to that window. Correct.
Everybody gets tackled in football, but there's a difference when you have a 270-pound man running full speed unblocked, or it was a brush block, and you're going to get killed, and your body's opened up, and that's different. That's not the same as just being tackled.
And Fields stands in that pocket with conviction and courage and delivers darts. He took a couple of shots today. He took a couple of shots last week. He don't care. That kid gets up and keeps trucking. He is a tough SOB. Now, what this does, though, like I was saying to the defenses, when you see that, defenses don't like turning around and turning their back to Justin Fields. They hate that because if the corners and the safeties have their back turned and they're running with the receivers to try to get stickier coverage, guess what? Nobody's looking at Justin Fields. You can't spy him because he's going to run past your linebacker like he's standing still 9 times out of 10, right? So either you have to commit 2 linebackers to sit on either ends of the line of scrimmage and try to pincer him and to get him to not run off when you're in man coverage, which means you can't either A, pass rush well, or you have less people in coverage to actually cover guys, or you have to keep everybody in these zones to keep everybody looking at them so that they can react quickly. Okay.
Well, I think the other key.
Now you have DJ Moore, who you have to double cover. You cannot allow DJ Moore to do this. You cannot put him on an island with anybody in the league. No defensive coordinators doing that. He scares them. Okay. So now you gotta roll coverage away from guys like Mooney and Kmet. You got to roll coverage away from guys like Tyler Scott and whoever's coming out the backfield. Deontay Foreman is going to be the guy for a couple of weeks, it looks like. Then you got to put guys in man coverage. In order to do that, you got to put certain guys that are like one-on-one on the outside where they got to turn their backs. And then you have to put your linemen to say, okay, you guys have to contain rush. You can't just like free ball and sprint at the quarterback with your ears pinned back, because like if you guys don't get him and he gets out of the pocket, he's gone. And that's 40 yards.
But think about the other thing.
This defense in such an embarrassing and like impossible to deal with position. I think his numbers keep going up.
Think about the other thing. The key was learning how to throw into these zones for big yards, because they could have 11 guys stand there and stare at him. as long as you can't throw the ball over the top of them successfully.
Yeah.
And that's what was happening. And it made it hard to move the ball at all because then that just played right into their hands. But DJ Moore burning them, even darn it, and us having the guts to throw 2 deep passes immediately at the
Yeah.
beginning of the game. And even though, Mooney should have been a touchdown, Mooney has
Should've.
this turnaround and grab the ball. Maybe he's not the best at tracking the ball over his shoulder, but he's got to get better fast at that. Because, okay, I love the fact that he could turn around, jump, and grab the ball, but he's got to be able to track the ball over his shoulder and just run under it. Because he could just keep going.
I mean, he does that too, but I feel like in recent years he's done less of that. Like I feel like his rookie year and especially last year, the Detroit game comes to mind where he did it a bunch of times. So like he definitely can do that run under, and he doesn't struggle tracking the ball deep when it comes to that. But it's just a bad habit he's picked up, I think. And I think he'll work that out.
And I think part of it, him being only like 5'10", 5'11", he probably and slight, he uses it to get elevation and grab the ball over corners and safeties, and that's great when needed. But
Yeah.
when you're past them and you burnt them,
Yeah.
Don't
gotta
give
just
up.
run under
Don't
it.
give up. Yeah, keep going. Don't give up the yards. And Fields put the ball where it belonged on that pass.
Yeah.
Not more. Mooney turned around and he basically lost one step, and that ball was right where it needed to be for him to run under it and go all the way. Now, the other thing is, he could be used to his quarterback throwing short, because, Fields is he's letting it fly now.
Well, yeah,
And
but he's got so much room to step into his throws now that makes a huge difference in the amount of power you could put on that ball. Like Mooney's the second shot to Mooney that was in the end zone for the PI, that one, if he'd have stepped forward into that throw and drove it, honestly, Mooney catches that before the defender even catches up to him.
He just needed to throw it half a tick earlier.
It was on time.
When Mooney cut at the line of scrimmage, he was open. Literally, it was hike, throw it, because Mooney he cuts at the line of scrimmage. Oh boy's 4 yards, 3 yards behind him.
Yeah, he could throw it
lets that ball
earlier, or he
go
could drive into
early.
it. Either way. But again, the anticipation comes with time on task and trust.
Yeah.
When he goes back and looks at that film, he's gonna see, hey, Mooney had this guy at the line of scrimmage. That was gone. And Justin's been a see it, throw it type guy his whole career, but he hasn't had a guy like DJ Moore who he don't gotta see it. All he got to do is know DJ Moore is finna cut, and it's gonna be somebody on the ground over there nearby. And if DJ don't got that ball when he cut, it's a problem. And he has to know that it's on him to get that ball where it needs to be when it needs to be there. And that'll as he keeps going this year with good targets and good receivers that he can trust.
Yeah. And I'm glad Tunyon stopped being a Packer, because for a while I was suspect that Tunyon and Getsy were still Packers.
Man,
yeah, no, he's
definitely always think that about them double agents. Hey, but I want to give a shout out to our defense. We got some takeaways, and yeah, I hope they keep that up, keep that intensity up. We got to the quarterback, we put some pressure. Of course, we know what kind of talent we have on the offensive side. Our defense has left a lot to be desired the last couple seasons. So it was definitely good to see them out there making some plays and making some things happen. We actually had an opportunity, I think, for 1 or 2 more turnovers. I think you mentioned it. The one Edwards missed, could have got the pick. But I think those plays will start coming for us, man. I think as long as the defense stays hungry, stays aggressive, those are plays that can turn a game for us. And it was somebody else. It was one of the receivers. I don't remember exactly what play it was. Had an opportunity to get a pick on one of those plays. On the replay, they showed that he got his hands on the ball. He just wasn't able to pull it in. But it's definitely good to see the defense out there turning the ball over. Specifically, at the end of the game, they came back in the second half. They scored, put points on the board first. I think we had a 90-second drive or something. We didn't do anything. Gave them the ball back. It looked like they were trying to make their comeback. Defense takes the ball away. And that, to me, right there was the momentum changer that allowed the offense to kind of settle themselves down and to not squander that game in the end. So I think that was big by the defense and taking the ball away.
Hey, I think defensively, we got to back to looking like the bend but don't break Bears, and one of the ways that that happened, we only gave up 29 rushing yards.
Mm-hmm.
29. You hold a team to
Shout out
29
to Big
running
Billings.
yards.
Yeah.
Villain.
Shout out to Big Billings. Breaking through
Billings was a monster. He
the
was
line. Yeah.
oh oh everything as advertised. Everything we talked about again here on We're Talking Bears. When we
Yep.
saw the film on the guy that Poles brought in, we said Billings is a one man wrecking crew,
Right.
and that's what he did. He wrecked their run game, forced them into passing, which allowed us to get 5 sacks.
Yeah.
Five
Yeah.
sacks.
That was a
And,
huge
and
deal.
yeah, and a pick. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
And we got that forced fumble. Wasn't that?
Yep.
I think that was
Yep.
on a pass play too, right?
That's the one I was
So what
talking about. Yep. That was the
Yep.
Thomas, I think. And
so
he
what
was all their offense. He was everything that was working for them. So to take that ball from him as they tried to make that run to come back, that was huge. That was huge.
And Thomas he didn't get 100 yards.
No, he didn't.
Thomas got no. Thomas as he had a good game. I mean, I'm not taking anything away. He was a problem. He had 9 catches for 77 yards. You know what? I'll take that. Our defense held their best player.
No, that's not their best player. Terry
Well,
McLaurin is their best player.
Well, yeah, okay. So they held Terry
You definitely hurt
McLaurin
him.
to 4 catches for 49 yards. They shut
Yep.
him down.
Yep.
Yep. And I
But
don't think he really got active until late in the game. That wasn't all day. It was Thomas who was getting the majority of the
it was
receptions.
our young rookie corners. Our
Yep.
young rookie
Terrell Smith
corners
and
were
Tyreek
balling
Stevenson.
out.
Yeah.
Balling out.
So question here. We all know Flus and Getsy have struggled mightily in terms of what their coaching decisions are going into games, game planning, and then especially at the half. This is where I feel like the Bears struggle the most, is coming out of the half, is making those halftime adjustments, is calling plays both offensively and defensively that keep the momentum on our side, making big splash plays when the half comes back out, or even just playing solid defense, getting 3 and outs, kicking field goals on those first couple of drives after the half. What do we see as fans, and giving our analysis as the biggest failures from that coaching staff coming out of the half, and how much is that how much of that is on the players, I'll say, how much of that is on the coaches, and how does that hold us back?
I'll start off with this. First of all, again, we've got a second year coach, but it's all second year now because we got rid of the guy that needed to be gotten rid of. We got so the second year coaches. So they're gonna make just like Fields, just like Mooney. These guys actually have been doing their job longer than Getsy and Flus have been doing their job. So
Yeah.
and we say there's gonna be errors, and you know what? There's lots and lots of errors, and so what I'm seeing is, in regards to this, that without question, we're growing. Now, what do we need to do? Yeah, coming out. I think one great adjustment was taking the ball. The last 2 games, we took the ball first,
Mm.
and I think we won both of those tosses. I know we won this week and took the ball, but we're taking the ball on offense, which is a good idea. The second thing, yeah, we have to make those adjustments. I don't know what's wrong, but we come out of the half without intensity. We come out of the half lackluster,
Yep.
and
Yep.
we give up a lot in the third quarter. And we have to start understanding that we have to have more energy coming out at the half than we did even opening the game.
Yep.
And I think we have to be more aggressive. I know, I'd rather you blitz and attack and somebody get past you, but you're aggressive coming out the half, then you sit back in the zone and let them pick you apart for the entire third quarter. We're just not ready to sit back in a zone because we don't have quite enough pass rush and we don't have great enough coverage to sit back in the zone and stop you. We've got to be aggressive coming out at the half. I don't mind running the rock, but if we're going to run the rock coming out at the half, we have to line up like we're going to run the rock. We got blasted game. Put them in there. Go back to the traditional I formation and run a series out of it. You can mix it up. You can move guys around. Blasting game can catch. Hand him the ball when everybody else is still there, when they're not expecting him to get the ball. He's getting 5 yards of carry when they expect him to get the ball, or 4. Hand it to him once in a while. Toss him the ball. Run some trick plays out of that. Move guys around out of that set, and get some push in the second half. If you can burn the clock and you can you can make that third quarter only 2 possessions or 3. I'm talking about between both teams. Let's say they get the ball. Let's say you can hold them to a field goal. You get the ball, you drag it out and match that field goal. And then they, only have the time to get a start. That's our worst quarter all year. You've just taken away, don't give them 3 or 4 or 5 shots at the goal during that quarter because they have 3 or 4 or 5 possessions. It's you can't be off the field fast, 3 and outs, all passes. You can't do that. What do you think, nephew?
Well, I totally agree. Halftime adjustments have been the bane of our existence so far. We didn't score anything in the third. I think that field goal we got came early at the beginning of the fourth, so we actually didn't put up any points in the third, and it was kind of disgusting to me. I definitely think it's the intensity. I think it's players and coaches alike. I think when you have a 28-point lead like Denver or whatever, when you have a large lead going into the half, as a coach, I'm not necessarily thinking to reinvent the wheel of what's working for us. But as you see the other team making adjustments, you have to be able to counter those adjustments with adjustments of your own. But I do think the intensity part is on the players for sure. Indicative of the turnover we got in the third. Once they started trying to go on a run, to strip the ball from their number one receiver on the day, I think that's the intensity part, and I think that's what our players have to come out with. You get what I'm saying? It's great to go in with a lead, and as far as a coach, you're thinking that what I'm calling is working, and that's fine. But the team has to know that, hey, they're gonna look to make some adjustments on us, and they're going to want to come out here and kind of make up for especially if we have a lead, for what happened in the first half. And I think that's when the players need to have that resilience that says bend but don't break, and we're not going to let that happen. And I think we saw it when they got that turnover. I do want to see the offense have that same kind of intensity. It's like if we've scored all these points and we've been unstoppable in the first half, that's because of the talent that we have. So when we come out in the third, if we need to make adjustments, fine. If they've made some good adjustments that are actually challenging to us, fine. We should still be able to at least make good drives, use the clock well. And Santos had a hell of a day. So I feel like even if we're able to just put him in range, that 3 that we got at the beginning of the fourth, I feel like we should have been able to find those in the third quarter. So I think that has a lot to do with the team's intensity. So I think that is something that we'll get. I think that's something that we'll get as time comes on.
Hey, let's take a turn and talk about the man who's on your shirt, Dick Butkus.
Chicago's own.
Hey, Chicago's been known for defense since I was born. That was a long time ago, and it has been sad for this past calendar year to be giving up 25 points a game. And one of the big players that made us known for defense, like literally Dick Butkus, God rest his soul, his nicknames, the Animal, the Enforcer, the Maestro of Mayhem, the Robot of Destruction. This guy played 9 years in the 60s and 70s NFL. Almost the era.
They didn't even use equipment back then. Then they just used to hit each other with nothing.
I thought they had
you against me.
You can bring a bat on the field back then.
I seen a dude with brass knuckles once.
For real. Hey, he played 6 of his 9 years every game. 8 of his 9 years at least 13 or 14 games in the season, and only his last year did he miss 5 games. Think about this: as a hard-hitting, forward attacking middle linebacker, he picked off 22 passes.
Hmm.
22 passes.
That's pretty crazy.
It's crazy because he was a run stuffing, quarterback sacking machine, and he picked up 22 passes. He actually had more interceptions than sacks.
Hmm.
And
He was a
but
monster. He was a monster.
he was a monster, and literally just phenomenal play. And to imagine the Bears got him and Gale Sayers in the same draft is
Yeah.
just
Hey,
absolutely,
and it's looking like
absolutely
we're back to
crazy.
those times again.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
you
it's
know what?
making happen.
I feel like we're building on that. I
Right.
feel like that Poles and them have respected the thing that Pace did right, which was bring us Darnell Mooney, bring us Justin Fields. Larry Borum looked great out there.
Oh,
Not okay. More
I
than
don't
I'm
know about
used to.
great. I don't know
Okay.
about great. I feel like he gave up like 2 sacks, had a lot of pressures given up. It wasn't his best day, in my opinion. But I would say as a fill-in, going in as a backup swing tackle, going up against like where I feel like his natural position is more right tackle than left, going up against Chase Young and Montez Sweat, and allowing Justin Fields to do what he did and have the type of game he had. I think his performance was serviceable. I
I'm,
wouldn't say he had a great game.
I'm gonna
I would say he was great in the run game. He was great
I'm
in the
gonna
run game.
argue with you a
More
little
so
bit.
the pass game.
I'm not saying he was perfect, but as a backup tackle to step in, facing that defensive line and having most of your night working on Chase Young, he had a great night. What do you expect from the guy, the backup?
Fewer
I
sacks
mean,
and QB hits.
Right.
right. So, I mean, that's when I don't know,
Don't get me
man.
wrong.
I
I
don't know.
like Larry Borum. I feel like Larry Borum is much more naturally suited to right tackle than left.
But
That's just my personal opinion.
I'm,
So the
I'm,
fact that
I'm
he
saying
was
he
out of
played great
position
over there.
and a backup, I feel like he did really great
Justin
in the
is
run game.
alive.
Props where
The
due.
offense did well. The run game was great, and Justin is alive. All right,
Yeah.
Unc, I'll give you
Chase
this
Young only had a half a sack.
Yeah.
Chase Young was almost always on his side. He only had a half a sack.
How many did Sweat have?
Sweat had 1.5. And
Okay,
we,
so
we
there's the other
saw
two. There's the
Sweat
other
beat
side.
Wright for sure for one of them. I
Yeah,
mean,
he
he
did.
just
He did.
so I'm gonna stand on that. Borum really stepped up and performed, and he did better than when Borum was next to Tev. That side of the line was tough.
Tev is tough, man.
Tev
Like
is
you
tough,
saying
but
Tev can't
Borum
like
was
man,
able
I
to.
hope to God Tev can stay healthy because our offensive line, those pockets, the run game, everything looks different
Oh
when
my
he is
gosh!
blocking.
Yep.
Everything looks different when he is out there. And that is a huge thing to say for a 5-man unit of everybody being over 300 pounds and some of the strongest human beings alive. Like Tev is just another planet worth
He's
of
another
strong.
level. He is
He's
another
like a
level.
Super Saiyan, and everybody else still got black hair. Like for it's just different out there when he's blocking. So kudos to Tev. Love having him back in the lineup, and I hope to God he stays healthy this time, man. He really deserves
Tev
it.
is so tough, but
He's so
I'm
good.
glad that Larry Boren is. I mean, he played good last week too.
Yeah,
Your quarterback doesn't throw 4 touchdowns a game if your left tackle's dying.
yeah.
Right.
No,
He's
Borum is filling in admirably. I think I'll give him props. He is filling in admirably as the swing tackle, and I have no problem. If we retain him and keep him
hey,
longer.
we've got sign
Cool.
him up, give him his contract. He is officially our swing tackle. We don't have to hunt for that anymore. We've got some things we got to hunt for. That's not it. We've got our tackles. We've got our swing tackle that's the backup for those two.
We need a
We're
center.
good.
We need a center.
We need a center.
We
I'm
need a
gonna say
backup
that
guard.
2nd-round pick next year.
Yeah.
Buy your center. Get the best center in the draft. You should be able to get that in the 2nd round.
I wish we would have done it this year, honestly, man. Like,
Yeah,
even
I do too. We talked about that
I wish we
here
would.
on We're Talking Bears.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
it is what it is.
It is what it is. We're okay. If Tev's healthy, we're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
we got to get healthy in general, man. I feel like that's one thing to me that's always a question mark, because it's like we had a great game, we had a good game, this good win, and the last couple of weeks, like we said, the offense has been looking good, but guys gotta be healthy. We gotta know who we have out there, who we're expecting to play, and we gotta have our skill guys available to us. What's going on with our secondary right now?
Terrell Smith.
Everybody hurt.
Yeah, but
are they coming? We looking like they're coming back anytime soon? Are we?
Terrell Smith.
Kyler Gordon's on IR.
No.
He's designated to return. He hurt his hand week 1 or 2, so week 6 or 7, it looks like it would be the earliest he can come back. Jalen Johnson's week to week. Eddie Jackson's week to week. Brisker is nursing a hamstring, but he's playing through it. And then on the outside, obviously Stevenson and, like you said, Terrell Smith have been filling in. I think Josh Blackwell is down for a couple of weeks as well as a backup.
Greg Stroman Jr.
Greg Stroman has been filling in really well. He had a sack and a pick this week.
Crazy. That's 4 tackles.
That's great performance from our nickelback. I love that. I love to see him having success. He was on the practice squad, 2 weeks ago? So huge for him, and happy to see him balling out and playing well. But our secondary's banged up, man.
That was a phenomenal defensive performance for us. It's the best one in a year.
Yeah. But we got a way bigger test coming up with Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, but you know what?
That's gonna be really tough.
You know what? When you look at what we were able to accomplish against Terry McLaurin, how does that rate versus Justin Jefferson?
It doesn't.
I was about to say, we did good with Terry, but let's focus on Justin.
Justin Jefferson is a different planet. If we don't have Jalen Johnson for that game, we're in trouble.
And that's why I was asking about our secondary, man, because these guys definitely performed well. I just want to know where our starters are at and when we can expect them to get back.
And that begs the question: when Jalen Johnson does come back, let's say he comes back for this Viking game, who starts across from him? Because Tyreek Stevenson he's struggled, and Terrell Smith has been pretty consistent and good. So who starts?
Well, Terrell Smith has been balling out.
he has been balling out.
How do you take that guy off the football field?
I don't personally.
Even if you don't per se give him the start, I'm giving him 49% of the snaps. He's going to be out there a lot.
Yeah, I would have Terrell Smith on that other side, because last year what happened was whenever Justin Jefferson would get frustrated not getting open versus Jalen Johnson, he would just go to the other side of the field and then he would be open. And we can't let that happen, especially if Eddie Jackson's not back, especially if Brisker is still nursing an injury and doesn't really have his normal explosiveness and range. That's tough. That's really tough. And with no Kyler Gordon to take away those underneath and slot options, even though Greg Stroman
is balling out, man. He needs to ball out again next week. Go get another pick and another sack.
Good Lord. I hope. Man, then we'll be talking about a nickelback competition between him and Gordon. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a real big test, because that's a good offensive line. They've got really good tackles. It's going to be hard to get a pass rush. Kirk Cousins makes quick decisions and the ball comes out fast. And Justin Jefferson is elite, is the elitist of the elite, So it's
second elite.
Scary to
I think right now, DJ Moore is the elitist right now.
DJ, I would say this to that. Do I think DJ Moore is better than Justin Jefferson? I'm not gonna say he's better. I'm not gonna say he's worse. I'm just gonna say that DJ currently has a 230-yard receiving game, and Justin Jefferson does not. And DJ currently has a 3-touchdown game, and Justin Jefferson does not. I'm talking in their whole careers.
Right.
So
there you go. There you go. Hey, DJ,
as
look,
good, sure, definitely.
DJ, I think DJ yesterday, last night, is finally happy to be in Chicago.
Yeah,
This was not happening for him in Carolina.
And you can see it. You can see
Mhm.
it. And honestly, his face the whole game looked like him and Justin. Like Justin finally figured out what he had been telling him all this time. Throw me the ball, and I'm gonna catch it. He's like,
doing the airplane run up the sideline after the touchdowns. I want to see that all year long.
Man,
yeah, I think we will. I think we will.
And you know how it is, man. We know how it is to play ball, man. When you playing, it's like it could be the Thanksgiving bowl. You playing with your family, you playing with your friends, and if it's me and you, and you're the quarterback, and I'm the receiver, I don't care who's out here. Throw the ball up. I'm gonna go catch it. And we're gonna win. And that's what I saw. That's what I saw, man. It was beautiful to see. Beautiful.
It was. We got it. Mooney's got to get back. Mooney needs 150-yard game.
We know Mooney is the Viking killer. We're not worried about that.
No, for his confidence.
But you know what? I was gonna say that I'm actually excited because I feel like Mooney has the right attitude. You get what I'm saying? They tried to give him the ball, they didn't connect like they wanted to, but Mooney's still going out there and playing hard. I haven't seen an attitude that looks like he's jealous of the DJ Moore getting the ball thing. So I think he's in the right spot. It's going to start coming together for him as well, because once the offense is clicking, he's going to start finding himself the beneficiary of all of what DJ Moore is getting right now.
Yeah, when they roll that coverage DJ's way, man, Mooney's going to have a lot of one-on-ones.
Right.
A lot of one-on-ones.
I think he knows that. I don't think he's pressed to have a game like DJ Moore. I know he knows his time is coming. Him and Fields had that chemistry before we even got DJ Moore. So I know Fields is aware of what's going on. Like we said, he tried to give him the ball a few times. I think that'll just come with more reps.
Yep, absolutely. Hey. Now here's before we jump off the wide receiver topic, let's talk about Chase Claypool. Right?
Oh my God.
We've moved on from Chase Claypool, and suddenly the offense looks, man, I don't know, I'm forgetting too, but suddenly the offense looks significantly better after he's out the room. I don't think that's a coincidence. There was a lot of effort issues. There were some drops. Claypool brought problems with him every game. And like I wish him the best. Obviously, I wish, everybody has success. I hope he matures and is able to kind of learn. But at the same time, he was just saying what everybody was thinking about how the offense was using the players and things like that. And I do feel like he may have gotten scapegoated a little bit. And winning heals everything. Winning makes everything go away. But at the same time,
but here's something else though. And sometimes guys are locker room poison, and they can look all nice and kind, but sometimes they're locker room poison. We played with some people that are locker room poison, and when everybody in your league, and this is the NFL, is truly a professional athlete at near the top of human existence, a bad attitude is a huge, huge anchor that can pull on a team, because you need everybody believing, especially you come into the tough fourth quarter and Washington scores, or you come into a tough fourth quarter and you don't get over with the Broncos. You need everybody believing. I think they kicked him out of Hallis Hall for a reason. It's one thing to sit a guy that you're going to trade. It's another thing to say, don't come back here.
Yeah.
That's a different thing. And I've never seen the Bears tell a player, don't come back. Pack your crap.
And I mean, that's good for accountability. I like that for us as an organization, that we're willing to make that hard conversation and make that hard decision. And I like that they're sending that message to the players, like, look, like, you got to buy in, even if we're not winning, you got to buy in. And they're bought in. We don't need to. They're clearly bought into Getsy. I have my reservations on both of those guys. They're well documented. But I mean, if those guys can learn and grow, But if they win a lot of games, like I said, winning cures everything.
Winning cures everything. Check this out. This is going to blow your mind. Where do you think the Bears' passing attack, as far as yards, is in the NFL?
Ranked?
Well, it's
Um,
kind of cheating because nobody else has played their fifth game.
yeah. We played 5 games. Everybody else
Yeah.
played 4. So let's put these numbers after the week comes in.
But I'll go to TDs, passing TDs. Guess where we are right now?
That's
We're
numero
number
uno.
2. We're tied for 1 in passing TDs, but everybody hasn't played. But even if you take yesterday's games away, we're like number 9.
Mm-hmm.
We're tied for 8.
We knew Fields was a killer. We're not worried about that. But one last note on the Claypool thing before we get too far off topic. Everybody's talking about our worst trade in Bears history. Terrible move by Ryan Poles. We gave up basically a first-round pick. Hold on. Slow down, because y'all not looking at the whole picture. The Green Bay Packers offered their second-round pick for Chase Claypool. Had Chase Claypool landed in Green Bay while Aaron Rodgers was there, had took off with Matt LaFleur, who was a much more experienced offensive coordinator, who maybe knows how to scheme up things for guys like him, and Aaron Rodgers, who can command the kind of respect that Claypool can't come in with the attitude that he has, like, I'm going to do things my way. You got to do things Aaron Rodgers' way when you're an Aaron Rodgers team. Had he gotten to Green Bay, then they had him, Romeo Doubs, and Christian Watson. Maybe Aaron Rodgers stays.
Yeah.
Maybe they have
not
more
just maybe they stay, but maybe they win.
Maybe they win. So what we actually traded was a first-round pick
to get Aaron Rodgers
the first round to get Aaron Rodgers out of the division, and getting 140 yards and a 6th-round pick back next year is just bonus.
But here's what I'm going to say when you talk about look at the whole picture. Look, nobody's perfect, and unfortunately, as Bears fans, sometimes it's been so bad you expect perfection. So guess what? We also expect perfection out of the front office. You make the trade that brings DJ Moore for free. You make the trade that brings us Darnell Wright. We don't even know who else we're going to get from that trade, because that's coming next year, as Carolina is the worst team in the league. You
forget.
You all of this, and you make a questionable trade for Chase Claypool. But look, you had to try.
Yeah.
And you could also toss in a Larry Okunjobi. Larry's playing great. And he's still out there. But when you look at that, it's like, okay, you gotta trust the guy. He's not gonna be perfect. Every move isn't perfect, but he's making some really good moves. And when he makes a mistake, this is what I respect about a man. If you make a mistake and you can come back and say, hey, my bad, I was wrong, I can listen to you and I can follow. I can't follow a man who's never wrong, because I haven't
right there.
Outside of the Lord, that's not the case.
All right.
Absolutely. Finally, we in the winner circle now.
Yeah,
we're in the winner circle.
It's just the beginning. I hope y'all are ready.
Hey, we got a lot of winnable games coming up.
One at a time.
Yep.
Well, I'm Uncle.
I'm Nephew.
I'm Son.
And we're talking Bears.